The right choice.
Carrie Fisher, the princess of Star Wars, was born to Hollywood royalty, Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher. She used her real life as the starting point for her book, Postcards from the Edge, now a movie directed by Mike Nichols. Our entertainment reporter Steve Kometko talked with Fisher and Nichols about the glory and the glare of Hollywood.
You know, you were a lot more fun when you were loaded. The public domain was a piece of...
Relax, they're blanks.
In Postcards from the Edge, Meryl Streep plays Suzanne Vale, an actress trying to put both her professional and personal lives back on track after a near-fatal bout with drugs.
To what degree is the story autobiographical?
I was in a drug clinic. I admit it. But I did not move in with my mother afterwards. So the whole thing is a construction on if I had.
You are jealous because I can drink and you can't take drugs any longer because I can handle it and you can't.
Handle it? How do you handle it?
My drinking does not interfere with my work.
And I say if I had moved in with the Pope, I would have thought he had a drinking problem because of that wine every day. And so it's sort of based on that. And at that time, she did drink a little bit. But she then she got over it. My mother's the only person I know who drank. And then it was like a virus, and it passed, and she went on to another thing. I, get into it and rooted around and stayed there for years.
Shirley MacLaine says to Meryl Streep, Mom says to daughter, it's important to recognize and enjoy the good times while they're happening.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to do that?
To a degree. Probably not as well as maybe I will when it's too late. I don't know. But I'm better at it now. But I really have to pay attention because I'm more problem-oriented.
What quality... If you could have any quality, what quality do you wish you had more of?
Serene.
Serene.
I used to, when I was a kid, I used to think, God, I would just love to be able to sit in a chair for a while and turn it off. And that's what I did with drugs, was try to just take this
Override
away.
it?
I called it taming the beast.
Fisher says that writing gives her a way to channel her seemingly limitless energy in a way that acting never did. But even with her clear screenwriting success on Postcards from the Edge, she's still a woman on the edge.
Just writing it, I was busy and happy when it worked out and went well on the read-through. But it was like little moments like, oh, that's good. Then you move on to the next problem. So I don't stay with pride. I stay more with uncertainty.
Am I so completely unappealing to you?
Quite the contrary. It's just that...
Carrie Fisher says she does feel confident about her next book, thanks to the lessons she's learned from writing postcards. From Hollywood, I'm Steve Kometko, CBS This Morning.
It's 5 minutes before the hour. We'll be right back.
I don't know who you are or where you came from. From now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Osgood.
After soaring through outer space as Princess Leia in Star Wars, actress and writer Carrie Fisher has been sending us one postcard from the edge after the other. Now, in the story of her latest novel, Carrie Fisher appears on a wild ride once again. Rita Braver offers this Sunday profile.
How much of the book really is autobiographical?
Well, let's see. I did have a child with a guy that forgot to tell me he was gay, and I forgot to notice, I think. And I was in a mental hospital.
Carrie Fisher's new novel, The Best Awful, is a thinly fictionalized account of how Hollywood talent agent Brian Lord, the father of her real-life daughter, left her for another man, and of her battle with mental illness. You probably are the only person in the world who could make going off on a sort of a manic depressive swing and ending up in a mental institution funny.
It better be funny. Otherwise, what I say is if my life wasn't funny, it would just be true, and that's unacceptable.
And if the truth sometimes hurts, well, 47-year-old Fisher is not one to shrink from it.
Both my parents together, I think, have been married about 8 times or something. I don't have good role models, so it's their fault. Everything is their fault.
A radiant bride and a handsome groom, Debbie and Eddie, are finally Mr. and Mrs.
Debbie and Eddie, of course, are Carrie's parents. Movie star Debbie Reynolds and crooner Eddie Fisher. In the 1950s, they were America's sweethearts.
Eddie. Your eyes are the eyes of a woman in love.
Then America's Scandal, when Eddie left Debbie for bombshell Elizabeth Taylor. Carrie was just a toddler.
You've always been used to being in the spotlight.
Right.
And have you enjoyed it?
It's been terrific. Just a round of fun over and over again. It's something that you get used to. It's not a choice I made.
Carrie did choose to enter the family business, first in her mother's nightclub act, then in Hollywood. She made her film debut at 17.
You know, I think you got exactly the same eyes as your mother.
Playing a rebellious teenager who had a fling with Warren Beatty in Shampoo.
No, and my eyes aren't like hers either.
They are.
No, they're not.
They are.
No, they're not. I'm
really
nothing
are.
like my mother.
Later, she nabbed her most famous role.
Stop rescue! Came in here. Did you have a plan for getting out?
Keep the plane, sweetheart.
Feisty Princess Leia in Star Wars.
What the hell are you doing?
Somebody has to save our skins.
The celebrity that came with Star Wars was overwhelming, as she told close friend Tracy Ullman before a Los Angeles audience last month.
You've been merchandised up the wazoo, haven't you?
I don't own my image.
Isn't that incredible? Doesn't it?
Yeah, every time I look in the mirror, I have to send George Lucas a couple of bucks.
She continued her acting career, playing John Belushi's girlfriend in The Blues Brothers. And she won praise as Meg Ryan's pal in When Harry Met Sally.
He just spent $120 on a new nightgown for his wife. I don't think he's ever going to leave her.
No one thinks he's ever going to leave her.
But it was writing that really became her passion.
Everything worked out very well in books. Much more organized and ordered than everything out here.
She's written 4 novels. In fact, her current book is a sequel to her first, the semi-autobiographical Postcards from the Edge, published in 1987. That was about drug abuse, rehab, and the relationship with a larger-than-life mother. It became a bestseller and a hit movie with Meryl Streep and Shirley MacLaine. Carrie wrote the screenplay.
Remember my 17th birthday party when you lifted your skirt up in front of all those people?
did not lift
including
my
that guy
skirt.
Michael.
It twirled up.
And you weren't wearing any underwear.
Well,
Look.
And if you were thinking, well, that's a bit over the top,
Look.
you haven't seen Carrie and Debbie together.
I just came up to clean the fountain.
Mother and daughter are close. These days, very close.
What did you think when your mother said, oh, by the way, honey, I'm buying the house down the driveway from you?
I tried to litigate.
She called me about the house. She said, Mother, the man just died and I said, should I go to the funeral? She said, no, you should buy the house.
The two share more than a common driveway.
The reason she can write so many books is because of me.
Because you have given her so much material?
Mm-hmm. And she continued to
great for material.
She told me something that I think would be shocking to most Americans, and that is that you and Elizabeth Taylor are actually kind of friends.
Well, I think you should be after 50-some years. Goodness.
And you have no bitter feelings to her, the woman that took your man?
No, she was just as dumb as I was, so fall in line. We have Connie Stevens there.
The road gets tougher. There,
that's why I moved closer.
Carrie has forgiven Elizabeth Taylor, too.
The best thing Elizabeth Taylor did for me was to get Eddie Fisher out of our house.
She presented her with an award for AIDS activism a while back.
My stepmother, Elizabeth Taylor.
In fact, Carrie has survived in Hollywood because she is both a star here and an astute observer, especially of herself.
I'm a spy in the house of me.
But there's nothing in her life that seems to be off limits.
I say that I have a mental illness that is infectious, and I've exposed most of you this evening, so I advise you to see your doctors. I got it from Anna Nicole Smith's toilet seat.
Fisher's psychotic break came in 1997. She spent weeks in a mental hospital, then 5 months of outpatient care. She's still on medication. It took her years to find humor in her illness, to work through the pain and write her new book.
Why is the book called The Best Awful?
Because in the manic high, with manic depression, the mania is the best awful there is.
Because
mania is the symptoms are spending sprees, sexual promiscuity. I didn't get that one, Mom. Spending sprees, sexual promiscuity. Let's see, a lot of talking, drug use. It just sounds to me like a really fun weekend in Vegas.
Her wit and wits have earned Fisher a devoted fan base. Folks who admire her novels, her movie roles, and her work as a Hollywood script doctor on films like Sister Act and The Wedding Singer.
What's a script doctor?
I don't know, but it's not anything I can get a triplicate pad for. And,
First thing I remember when you came into my life. Even her backyard can make you grin. Festooned with stuff she's accumulated over the years, including a statue from her former husband, singer-songwriter Paul Simon. Their 1983 marriage lasted less than a year.
Would you ever like to get married again?
You know the saying that you find someone when you stop looking? Or how about this? No, you don't. That's my wisdom for today. You don't.
Do you still do some acting yourself now?
Just around the house.
Action with occasional direction from her #1 fan.
We're also pretending that my mother isn't behind the camera
We are pretending that she's not bossing everyone around here.
And making
Without me, life would be just awful. Go,
more
go.
This thing. Go.
For now, Carrie Fisher seems to have found her role as a daughter, a mother, and a writer, melding the facts of her life with the fiction of her imagination.
I like having the option of making up stuff and making it go a certain way. Life doesn't fall out like an entertainment. It really doesn't. And I like being able to make it go the way that I want. Since I haven't been able to do that in my actual life, please let me do it in the way that I write. What I figured out is I don't have to turn into my mother if she lives next door.
Oh, you do? Oh.
That's a good plan.
Doesn't it just happen overnight?
No.
It did when you...
Ms. Reynolds, I imagine you've heard by now that the Burtons will be your shipmates on this crossing.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, a number of people have brought it to my attention today. And did I know that they were booked on this boat? And I said I really didn't keep track of their schedule. And I didn't know, but it wouldn't make any difference in any event because they seem to be very nice. I've never met Mr. Burton. I think he's a great actor, and I've enjoyed his performances for many years.
Mr. Burton, what do you think of these crowds?
I think they're fine.
Do you plan to see Carl socially? Do you plan to see them socially on the boat?
Sure, we'll see each other socially.
Could you do another Cleopatra, Miss Taylor?
No, I wouldn't.
We've got to wrap it up, folks. This ship has got to sail, and I'm serious.